Hello and good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we have a very special youth group with us from Acton Boxborough Music Talent Association. And I will allow them to introduce themselves. You can go ahead, start with Anna, and tell me your name and your grade. And you don't have to mention your school. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, good morning. Hello, and thank you so much for having us on this platform. It's really nice to be able to meet you and also to be able to share our stories and our backgrounds. My name is Anna, and I'm the president of Acton Boxborough Musical Talent Association. I'm currently a senior and I play the violin.
Excellent. Sarah?
Hi, my name is Sarah. I am currently a senior, and I'm the social media director of Acton Boxborough Music Talent Association. And I play the viola, piano, and I sing.
Viola, piano, and you also sing.
Yes, and lots
Amazing.
of things.
Great. Julia.
Hi, good morning. My name is Julia. I'm also a senior in high school. I'm the vice president or one of the vice presidents of ABMTA, and I play the violin and the piano. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Emily?
I'm Emily. I'm also a senior. I am also one of the vice presidents of Acton Boxborough Musical Talent Association, and I play the violin and the viola.
Wonderful. So now I just want to know and understand a little bit about ABMTA. Okay, so Anna, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your association is about? What are the kind of work you do? Is it part of your school or is it separate from your school? Just give us a brief introduction about this.
Yeah, of course. So ABMTA was founded, I think, a few years ago in 2018 by a group of high schoolers who were at Acton Boxborough Regional High School. But it started off as a group that just really wanted to take like their musical talents and show them off to, I guess, the rest of the community and also provide a space for other musicians within that community to be able to perform. So originally, it started off as like hosting recitals. When we went into COVID, we did a lot of like virtual things. So we would hold like virtual recitals where people could upload their videos and they could make like a compilation. But then once we got out of COVID, we had a lot more opportunities to do, such as we've been to a couple of senior centers throughout Acton and Boxborough. We've performed at our local library. We've performed regularly in this wonderful church space that they lend us every year for recitals in which we invite little kids from around the community to perform. And we also have recently played at this wonderful bakery in Boxborough. So, in essence, the common theme uniting all of these performances is that we like to prepare music to play ahead of time, a variety of music that suits the temperament of the event, such as either Christmas music or classical music or just tunes that everybody knows and loves and is familiar with. And um, and as for the recital portion, we like to make it as like low stress as possible. We just wanted to make it a place where kids can be able to perform whatever they would like. And during those recitals, we have our members sit on a panel and we have each member write specific curated feedback for these performers so that they may take something insightful and positive out of the experience.
Beautiful. So, Julia, you can go ahead and answer this. So, is there any prerequisite for students to join ABMTA?
Yeah, I would say for ABMTA, we kind of have two opportunities for high schoolers and for kids younger than that as well. So for us, kind of like the board of ABMTA, as well as the people that organize the events that give the feedback that Anna was talking about during these events, we are typically high schoolers and junior high, middle school age. So we have a little bit more experience ourselves in whether it's like large scale ensemble orchestras or school orchestra, or competitions, auditions, like that type of thing. So that can be like a great opportunity for high schoolers and older middle schoolers to get involved, giving back to the community. And then for the people that typically participate in these recitals, the kids, I can remember kids anywhere from like 5 years old all the way up until middle and high school age. They are all welcome to perform at our recitals. Again, like Anna said, we kind of try to keep this environment low stress
Mm-hmm.
because we recognize that for a lot of kids, this is their first time,
Yeah.
um, yeah, in any sort of recital, performing for anyone outside of like a teacher or outside of just like family members. So we
Mm.
try to make this space inclusive to any community members, kids who want a chance to play, and that's regardless of level, of instrument, experience, anything like that.
That's wonderful. So is this more like this is obviously classical music, correct? Or do you play different genres of?
Yeah, we tend to get a lot of classical performances in the concerts,
Mhm.
but we are also open to basically any genre that people want to perform.
Mhm.
So, personally, I know for the kids that I've had experience teaching or just kind of being around as they learn music, a lot of them find a lot of interest in learning Disney songs or pop songs that they can sing them or they already have them in their head,
Mhm.
and this makes them more interested in practicing. So it's also a great space for them to kind of perform these songs that might not make it onto like a classical stage otherwise.
Wonderful. So Sarah, what do you say is the broad overall mission of ABMTA?
So what I always tell people when they ask is that ABMTA's mission is to pretty much bring music to the greater Acton community and also Boxborough, and just make sure that people are more exposed to music in general in our community. Because a lot of the times, like I went to, I mean, this is like not Acton, but I went to Colorado once, and
Hmm.
in Colorado there's a town, and in that town, like every single restaurant was filled with music, and like every single place that you went, it was music around every single corner. But I've always found that in Acton, it's a lot more quiet. There's just less music
Yes.
in like every establishment. And so I guess ABMTA's mission in a way is kind of to fix that a bit. Because
Okay.
music is just a really cool way to make people happy, bringing community together. And so we just try to make sure that people have access to more music opportunities and that people can just hear music more when they go to different establishments and go around town.
That is so wonderful. That's it. That's beautiful. I have two girls and they are into music. They're both in the jazz bands, and we play music all day, every day, all the time. So, and they really, really love it, and I can see how it has made an impact on their lives. So, I think music should be everywhere. So that's so wonderful. Emily, do you want to add anything to the mission or how your association works?
I think adding to what Sarah said, another aspect, at least to me, especially with the recitals and everything, is to like kind of build a broader community around music in this area. Um, because especially outside of like school environments, I've found that there hasn't been a very broad community or like um it it's just like especially in early years, you don't really interact with a lot of other people that share the same interests in music. And I think it's just nice, especially with the recitals, to have a space where kids can meet other people that like also share a love of music like this.
That's beautiful. So you're saying the community aspect of it is one of the main purpose of this. So where do you gather when you guys meet for practice or rehearsals? Is it in school or you meet in somebody's house? How does it work? Emily can go ahead.
So we do both. I think it depends kind of who is involved in the rehearsals or the performances. Um, we do a lot of rehearsals either at the high school or at one of our houses. In terms of like performances, we have done some at, like somebody already mentioned, at senior centers. We've we've um, played at cafes and also some like church spaces as well.
Nice. Okay. So have you ever thought, maybe Anna, you can answer this. So have you ever thought of going out of Acton, Boxborough, like meet with other towns and kind of do like an collaboration, anything like that?
Yeah, I think that is really cool. A few years ago, actually, I think in 2022, we did a collaboration with the Boston Music Project, which is like this broader nonprofit that works in Boston to bring music to the underprivileged communities in that area. And we collaborated with them to raise a fundraiser for them. And we performed in the Silver Unicorn, which is our local bookstore. And yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. So that's one way to kind of, broaden this community aspect of it, right? That's wonderful. You guys are doing amazing. So I did hear a few like themes, like I heard community, and in the beginning I heard it was you want this to be like a low stress environment. So we'll get to that in a bit. But let's just start by asking you how long you have been practicing music and what is the one thing that you really love about it that you are sticking with it? So let's start with Anna. How long have you been practicing music?
So like many kids, I started playing piano first at the age of 5, but then I decided one day when I was 8 that I really wanted to play the violin too.
Okay.
And that ended up being my main instrument. So ever since then, I've been playing violin. I take private lessons, and I also have been playing in my school district's orchestra program since I think 4th grade. And I think one of my favorite things about being able to play music is that it's always like there for you in a way. It's like a source of stability. Even when um even when there can be many like difficult stressors or distractions, whether it be like school or academics, I think that having like making like space to practice maybe like an hour in like a few times a week is always really comforting, and it's a really good habit to have.
That's wonderful. So you say music definitely helps you with managing other stresses in your daily life. Wonderful. Sarah?
I started taking piano lessons when I was 10, and I've
Hmm.
stuck with those until last year. I stopped taking lessons, but now I just play for the fun of it almost every day, and just keep going like that. Um, and then in eighth grade, when I was, I think you're 14 in eighth grade, maybe 13, I decided that I desperately wanted to join the school orchestra. So I taught myself how to play the viola, which is, I mean, some people don't know what the viola is, but it's kind of like a bigger and deeper version of a violin.
Okay.
Um, it's like in between a violin and a cello, kind of, but it's a shoulder instrument.
Okay.
So I taught myself how to play that, and I've stuck with it since, and I'm still in the school orchestra. And I guess the reason that I've been able to stick with these instruments is because, especially with viola, I really like the community that music brings me.
Hmm.
Orchestra is like single-handedly typically the best part of the school day because it's like you walk into the band room and you have all these friends that surround you, and it's like a fun outlet, to release all your like pent-up stress throughout the day by playing music for an hour.
Yeah, definitely. Julian?
Yeah, I started with violin when I
Okay.
was like around 4. And then I also started piano at almost the same time. I would think I was 5. I've been playing piano ever since then. That's always kind of been my primary instrument, so 12 years now for the piano.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and for violin, so I had an older sister. I have an older sister. She's like 6 years older than me, so she
Hmm.
plays violin as well. We used to play like violin duets, piano violin duets at home together. So she was kind of one of the reasons that I stuck with piano mostly, so that we could play a lot of duets together. And then for violin, I played for a couple years. I was like between 4 and 6 or so, I think. Um, and then I stopped playing when I was going into like third grade. And then I picked it back up in the elementary school and middle school orchestras. And then I've been playing violin ever since then as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think like 12 years of piano, something like 8 or 9 years of violin in total. And something that I think music is, it can be both, it really brings like the whole range of emotions. I
Yeah.
think, like Anna said, it can really be like the relief of all the stressors that come with the rest of daily life and everything that's going on around us. And like
Mm-hmm.
Sarah said, it's like an amazing way to meet new people, to meet
Mm-hmm.
community, but then also it can be the stressor itself and it can be the
Mm.
competitiveness itself. I grew up competing a lot, and it's like, oh, that person across from me in school, like that's the person I'm competing against, right? So I feel like it really does bring the whole range of everything. And I can say that it's like the single thing in my life that's made me feel the most, whether it's good or bad, or like happy or sad. And I feel like that's something that really resonates with me, um, because yeah, I just feel like
You
it's
can
something.
always go back to
Yeah,
it no matter what. Uh,
exactly. Like no matter what it is I'm feeling, there's something there for me, and I just don't see that like ever leaving me.
that's wonderful. So just to ask you that you said something about competition.
Hmm.
Are you talking about you're competing against somebody in music, in the realm of music
Hmm.
while you're performing?
Hmm. I'll talk about the piano competitions because other people can talk about like violin
Yeah,
and
sure.
orchestra stuff. But for piano, I did my first competition when I was 7,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a kind of Massachusetts like statewide competition. And typically they're broken into like age divisions. So somewhere like, okay, kids from 6 to 10 years old, or let's say like 8 to 10, depending on the competition, all compete together. You have 10 minutes to play like two pieces, and then everyone plays them. Judges judge and give comments,
Mm-hmm.
and then they typically give out, first, second, third prizes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like all different types of formats. Some of them there's more kids competing, some of them less.
Yeah.
Some age ranges are bigger, smaller,
Mm-hmm.
but that kind of has been a staple in my life
Yeah.
of like, oh, these are the competitions that I kind of participate in every year. And it does become just a rhythm for me.
Wonderful. Emily, you want to share how long you have been playing music and what made you stick to it?
Yeah, I started playing violin around when I was 3 or 4. Um, and I started viola much later I think in freshman or sophomore year of high school. That was also, I joined the school's orchestra in high school, although I had been playing in like other ensembles around Massachusetts for a while. I think similar to everyone else, music kind of to me is acts as an outlet for really any kind of emotion. Like Julia said, it's incredibly diverse and like versatile in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think also for me, my favorite kind of music is has always been ensemble playing and like working with other people and other musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the biggest part of that, I think, is that it's really nice to just have something in common and have a common goal, whether that's like a performance, a concert, a competition. You
Yeah.
have like something really nice to work toward, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it just brings people together really well.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And who else? Sarah, did you go?
I think I already kind of talked about what instruments I play and stuff, but I can continue to elaborate if you would like. Um, Another thing that music does for me is I also like to write songs in my free
Oh,
time, which I can
wonderful.
use like multiple instruments to do so. But for me, it's like a really good outlet for like kind of what other people were saying for expressing my emotions. Like if I've had a really tough day, I can write about it and like put it to music, and it just like makes like all your negative emotions all of a sudden feel kind of like, I don't know, like there's a reason for it all, you know? And then if it's like a really good day, if you write about that, then it makes the day even better. And it's just a really cool way to express emotions and just like feel your feelings and like let everything out.
That's beautiful. So I also heard like some of you have taken up new instrument at different stages of your school life, like at different grades. So do you think it matters when you start an instrument, at what age or what grade, especially for the young viewers who are watching? What do you recommend them? Like, do you want them to start as early as possible, or is it okay to explore a new instrument at different age? What do you think? Anna, you can answer this if you want.
Yeah, sure. I may have a slightly different opinion from some of the parents out there, but I think for me, when I started piano early, versus when I started violin a little bit later in life, but it was on my own initiative, I think it's really great to sort of, I guess, nudge kids into exploring music when they're young. But I do think, to an extent, you only really derive real benefit from it if you yourself are the one that wants to play the instrument, that wants to put in the effort, that wants to learn the music. So I think it's great to explore around as a young age. I totally agree. I do think as it's more obvious whether or not you like playing music, or I guess if you like playing a specific instrument as you grow older and you develop more responsibility, and therefore you have to sort of time manage a little and prioritize like what are the few things that really matter to me the most.
Mhm.
And I think at that point for me, um, I decided that piano wasn't really the instrument that I could devote all my time to, and I decided that I really liked violin. So I took the liberties of like being able to compete in some of the violin competitions that were in the area. I love to play music with everyone here, and also within our school orchestra. And yeah, I think giving, like, I guess, establishing with your kids that they are free to choose what they really want to do
Yeah.
is a really good way of helping them focus on what they potentially can improve the most on.
So, what do you think parents should give the kids their option to choose and then change it? Uh,
I guess, yeah, I think
if
something
they
that
want. Yeah.
yeah, I think something that might be helpful is just like the understanding that like if if my child or if my family member is not necessarily like if they are not necessarily the ones who want to be playing the instrument, I think it can be valuable to like have that conversation with them and be like, I want this to be something that you want to do in your life because therefore, like I subscribe to like the belief of if I really like something, then I will do my very best at it, and therefore it'll be like a mutually beneficial relationship in that sense.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, I think communicating that between parent and child could be really nice.
Nice. Wonderful. So I heard a lot of the uh, theme around community. So this is just a question I want to kind of see what you guys have to say about. So being in a music means listening, adjusting, trusting each other when you're in a group. So how does that teamwork affect your confidence or mood? Emily, do you want to answer this? I can repeat the question if you want.
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't hear the end part of it.
So, being in a music group like yours means listening, adjusting, and trusting each other. So, how does that sense of teamwork affect your mood or confidence? Or how does it affect you being in part of a team when you have to kind of constantly listen to the feedback of your teammates?
Yeah, I think it's made me a lot more confident, and I think it's also made me a lot more open to feedback and change.
Mhm.
Um, I think especially when you're playing with a lot of other people, you have to kind of adapt to everyone else a lot. but you also need to be able to kind of lead and just show confidence in what you're playing, even if you show what you're doing, you kind of need to be able to portray that confidence so that like others can follow you.
Mhm. So how do you bring about that? What do you have some kind of process where you just bring in the confidence during performance, or even when you want to kind of perform in front of your group or modeling it? Do you have any process that you want to kind of use it to show confidence, or is it something that somebody has it innately in them? What do you think, Anna?
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat the first half of the question?
So, how do you have any process to bring confidence within yourself when you want to perform in front of others?
Oh, yes. I personally always grew up with horrible performance anxiety. I think with the violin, especially when you have to like hold up your instrument, there's like an aspect that makes it a slightly more difficult than if I were playing piano. And I think the thing that really helped me as I grew older, because I started getting into more situations where I would put myself in the opportunity to perform rather than it being obligatory. I think it's really about like the mindset. I think sometimes you have to realize that the performance that you are doing in this given moment is not like make it or break it, end of the world,
Mm,
especially um so I so when I used to audition for like violin competitions, it would be like the biggest stressor of my week, no matter what else I was doing. Just like the thought of like standing in like a really cold room, having to hold up my violin and play to the best of my ability, even though I was terrified. I think it honestly made performing really difficult for me after that. But last spring, actually, I chose to perform in actually ABMTA spring recital that we offer to other age groups. And that was actually the first time that I voluntarily chose to perform. I performed a violin piano duet with Julia, actually.
mhm.
And I just remember like mid-performance, I sort of forgot that there were like other members there. And I just focused on like holding my violin up, making sure that I was hitting all of my notes correctly, making sure that I was matching up with Julia. And in that moment, it wasn't about, oh my gosh, there's like 20 people in the audience and some of them have their phones out recording. It was like,
Yeah.
I'm really feeling myself here. I'm feeling independent. I'm feeling proud of myself, and I am now the process rather than like adjacent to it.
That's wonderful. That's so amazing. I know a lot of kids go through this, especially when they have to perform. They definitely go through some level of anxiety, and I think this is a good way to kind of center themselves. Uh, what about mistakes? We all make mistakes. So let's say somebody you're playing in a group, and Julia you can answer this. So if you make a mistake, what is your approach towards it? Or I don't know, have you made a mistake?
Yes, definitely. I
Okay.
have many,
Yeah.
like thousands, tens of thousands. I don't know.
Yeah.
More than I could ever count.
Right.
But I think I tell this to kids I see a lot too because I actually feel very strongly about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that there are times when, yes, it's important to, identify your mistake. And I think it's very important when, especially kids are learning music, that they aren't just told by a teacher or an adult, you know,
Mm-hmm.
this is what you did wrong, supposedly, and this is how you fix it for next time. I think it's really valuable that kids learning music can kind of adapt to identify their own mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Say, after a performance or after playing through it for their teacher, they can say, "Oh, I remember that I forgot to do this part of the piece, or I played this note wrong. I should have played this louder. I should have played this softer." I think that's very valuable. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, I think it's important to not let the mistakes dictate everything about a performance. So I can
Hmm.
confidently say that I've performed or competed like 100 plus times, like in my
Okay.
life, right?
Yeah.
And there's never been a single performance where I haven't made a mistake to some
Mm-hmm.
capacity. Some of them are bigger. It's like, oh, I like really messed up. But then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's a note was scratchy or, this note didn't come out the way I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's impossible to avoid those completely. And I think that's true all the way up to the highest level,
Yeah.
down to the lowest level of performance and experience. So it's really important to just be able to keep going past it. It's like that saying where it's not the first mistake that, really causes something to fall apart. It's the subsequent ones. So can you
Hmm.
put the mistake you made in the past, if you skipped a note, then don't skip another note, like don't let that continue to snowball
So
and
you
really kind
learn
of,
from your
yeah.
mistakes and
Right.
try to
And
avoid them in the subsequent
yeah, and I
performance.
think that in the process of the same performance, the idea is to keep moving forward always, like
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, "Oh no, I messed up," 10 seconds ago, it's 10 seconds later, how can I make this amazing? How can I perform this to the best of my abilities? So I think kind of shifting that mindset has been really helpful for me. And
Mm-hmm.
going back to the previous question as well, I think it can really be helpful for
Yeah.
like performance nerves and anxiety as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's great. So, Emily, you can answer this question. So, have you ever, when you come on stage, especially the young ones, like who are just learning music, right? Like probably they are in fourth grade, fifth graders. So, I'm just asking for them. So, when you go on stage, do you feel the butterflies in your tummy? And how do you manage them if you do have them?
Yeah, I think those kinds of feelings maybe never go away.
Okay.
So I think for some people, well, for me at least, it's become a lot easier to manage just with repetition.
Mm-hmm.
And also um I think for me what was really helpful was the idea that you are probably going to hear your mistakes more than um, whatever audience you're playing for. And
Exactly.
because you hear yourself um, every day when you're practicing. And so you might hear oh, yesterday this note was a little bit better.
Mm.
But when once you're at a performance, I think it's just um you kind of just give whatever you can, and there's sorry, it
That's okay. So just if you feel like Anna, what do you do if you have butterflies in your tummy? I'm asking this for our young listeners, if they want to kind of prepare themselves or maybe taking a breath is always helpful. So what is your ritual or a process that you do when you feel those emotions?
Well, when I was little and I had like two piano recitals a year, I think one thing that my parents would always tell me is, "Oh, if you get through this recital, we're gonna go out for ice cream later, or we can do like this fun thing later."
Yeah.
And it would like subsequently like condition me into like getting through the recitals just that little bit like mentally better.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Emily in the sense that repetition is sort of key. I think as a little kid it can be like this like horrible looming potentially destructing thing,
Mm.
but then once you get through it you and like once like I guess when your like cortex develops and you realize, oh, that wasn't like the worst thing that was going to happen in my life. Yeah, I think it's harder for like kids at the younger age to recognize that sometimes the performance isn't about being like the best of the best. Sometimes it's just about like what can I do in this given period of time, and maybe in the future what can I do that could possibly improve on that. I think really setting the bar to be like reasonable and like the optimal like zone of like how can I challenge myself without trying to like make the standard impossibly high for me. I think that's really great. I also just think growing up and maturing and realizing that mistakes are conduits for growth is like a really helpful thing. I think I would have loved to sort of internalize that better as a little kid when I was performing.
That's wonderful. And also, I think the groups like yours is a good place for them to, practice, right? Like getting over those nervousness or, performance anxiety, because this is low pressure, like you said. They come in and they meet and they perform without being too critical or judgmental. So that's a good uh, opportunity for kids to learn and grow. Uh, so coming back to that community question, so most all of you here said that being in a music group provides you a sense of community and belonging. Why is that important for teens? Why do you think it is important, Sarah?
I think that it's like very hugely important for teens because being able to have people that you can lean on if you're going through a tough time as a teen, which will definitely happen at least once when you're a teenager, it's incredibly important to have people to talk to and to like bounce your problems off of. But it's also incredibly important to have people that you're able to just be yourself with and like be truly just like free and happy around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that being able to find a community through orchestra, for me at least, has been like a real gateway to being able to find these people that have common interests with me and that have very like similar like ideologies and thoughts to me. Because we are all interested in the same activity, which is like a nice common ground that helps bring us together.
Mm-hmm.
And but through orchestra and through finding that community, I personally was able to find some of my closest friends, like people that are in this podcast. Um, but
Nice.
yeah, but it's just incredibly important to find community like that as a teenager so that you have people that you can rely on around you.
That is so amazing. So you get to meet new people, make new friends, and also kind of connect on something that's very common and all of you enjoy. So that's wonderful. Okay, so this was nice, though definitely music is obviously helping you manage stress, say find your common, community, and it's adding joy to your life, looks like. So that's wonderful. That's great. So just to end this talk, I'll have a few rapid fire questions. Okay, so all of you can go at one by one. So tell me your favorite musician or sorry, let's go with tell me your favorite musical piece. Anna. It can be any genre because I'm not very musically knowledgeable. I'm just asking you. So, what is
Yeah.
your favorite musical piece?
I think a big one for me is Bach's Double Violin Concerto, which I've performed many times with Julia and Emily over the years. And yeah, awesome duet.
Great. Sarah?
This isn't like my favorite piece of all time, but it's hard to choose just one. But recently in our school orchestra, we've been playing a piece called American Sketches, and I forget what it's called, like who wrote it. I forget who the piece is by, but that song, like I've been trying to train for a half marathon, and like I don't typically run, right? But whenever I'm like just like absolutely dying during like a long run, if I put that song on, it like keeps me going. So that's really been like a good song for me recently.
Wow, good. Julia.
I would say my favorite piece of all time is Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony. I played it with a Boston orchestra, as a violinist last 2 years ago. And yeah, it's my favorite piece.
Nice. Emily?
Um, so my favorite piece is also I don't think it's not like my favorite to listen to, but
Mhm.
it may come as no surprise to some people here that it is Mendelssohn's Reformation Symphony. Um, for me, I've played it several times. I've also I've written arrangements for it, and I've spent a lot of time with this piece, and I've learned a lot from it. And I think it's been a really cool experience for me.
Cool. Okay. So, just moving from classical to pop music, like today's modern everyday music that plays on the radio, who is your favorite artist? Emily, you can go.
I don't know. I listen to a lot of pop music, and I also listen to a lot of like rock and alt rock
Sure,
music.
anything. Yeah.
I would say for the last few years, one of my favorite artists has been Weisha Project. Um, Another that I've been listening to a lot just in the last month or so has been I think Sawyer Hill is the name.
Okay. Sarah?
So I listen to a lot of music, pop music, I think, over like a bunch of different genres, but this is going to be a basic answer. But I always find myself coming back to Taylor Swift at the end of the day. I really like Taylor Swift's lyricism in all of her albums, and I like seeing how her lyricism and her like sound changes throughout her different eras. So yeah, it's got to be Taylor Swift for me.
Taylor Swift. Okay. Anna?
One artist that I've enjoyed a lot over the past few years is this like alt rock indie group called Boy Genius. It's three separate musicians that came together and they sing vocal harmonies together. And I think us as ABMTA, we've tried to perform their songs a few times, and I think it's super challenging to have to harmonize three different people, but they make it sound so good and so easy, and so we try our best to emulate that.
Boy genius. Okay. Who else? Julia.
Yeah, I think I, like most of these people, listen to a lot of pop music, like branching into separate genres. Um, yeah, and I'm a big fan of some of the people they've mentioned as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, the people I meet in orchestra are huge influences on the music I listen to as well. Like, they give me a lot of recommendations for songs I listen to, and then vice versa. I'll shout out another artist that we've played music of as ABMTA. Her
Okay.
name's Leve, spelled
Levy,
L A
yes.
yeah Laufey,
Uh-huh.
and she does a lot of kind of jazz orchestral music. She's
Yeah.
collaborated with some of like the big American and European orchestras, like London, Philadelphia orchestras, and I think it's rare really to see such a big mainstream pop adjacent artist put so much emphasis on classical instruments
Mm-hmm.
and jazz sounds. She
Yeah.
has like a twin sister, I think, who plays the cello,
Oh,
and then
okay.
like she's on stage sometimes. So I think her music is really cool, and it's a cool way to bridge like classical and pop for me.
That's wonderful. So Leeway, I know her because my daughter plays her music, and I know Taylor Swift, obviously. But I learned Boy Genius and Sarah, yours. Did you name somebody? Sorry, I forget.
I'm the Taylor Swift person.
Oh, you're the Taylor Swift
Yeah.
person. Okay, so then it's Emily.
Yeah, I named Weisha Project, which is like an indie. It's two siblings,
Okay,
and then Sawyer Hill, which is more like
Sawyer. Okay,
rock.
got it. Okay. Wow, that was amazing. This conversation was it's a lot in it, obviously. It's and we can go on and on about how music can help the whole community and rather the whole world come together, right? So this is wonderful and you guys are doing amazing job and I really thank you and appreciate you for coming on this youth channel and hopefully the young viewers can get inspired by looking at you guys. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Let me stop the recording.